quick video to do. Well, hopefully it's quick. Just a thought and something I was thinking about over the last couple of days, and I probably should do a video on it. It's kind of cool. About 7 years ago, I picked up a Smith and Wesson M&P in .40 caliber. But I don't really want to make this a gun review. I mean, there's plenty of reviews on the Smith and Wesson .40 caliber, the Smith and Wesson 9mm, the whole array of M&P series pistols. They're great. They're excellent. They have excellent ratings. After 7 years or so, I decided, hey, I probably should take this thing down and do a deep clean on it. I did it with my Glock, no problem. Took out all the extractor, took out the the striker, cleaned out the striker channel, cleaned out the did a deep clean, magazines, everything. Wiped it down, oiled where it needed oil, and so I decided to do the M&P, and it's a little different. The Glocks are pretty well known as far as how to disassemble, and there's video on YouTube. There's video after video of how to disassemble a Glock and how to clean it, and everybody has their ways of doing it. There were several videos on the M&P series of pistols of how to do a deep cleaning, and so I ended up following these instructions, and lo and behold, I didn't permanently damage the gun, but I'll show you what I did, and I'll show you what happened. And I don't think this is so much of a problem on the newer generation ones. I'm going to kind of break this down, and then I'm going to explain what Smith and Wesson did to resolve it. Okay, so let's get into it. This is my Smith and Wesson M&P .40 caliber right here, and I went in to do a deep cleaning on it. And so you start out the same way with any cleaning. First you safety check it. Nothing in there. Clear. Now then you, of course, on a Smith & Wesson, on the M&P series, I think all of them have a, all of them have a sear deactivation lever, and you have to kind of, I don't know if you can see that, there it is right there. You have to move that down. Then you have the takedown lever. It's fairly simple to take down. Mine, for some reason, watch this, let's see if I can get it. Yeah, see, it pops back. And it's a little tricky. I don't know, not all of them do that. I'll try to kind of do this with one hand here. But it's the same thing, you just slide that off, simple, and you take it down, you expose the trigger group in there, you got your spring, recoil spring here, barrel pops out, so standard field strip, get those in there. So, then you do your cleaning, you clean your barrel, you wipe down your spring, oil this a little bit, just touch it, clean it, make sure things are functioning good, look through the trigger group, and you put your dots of oil as per Smith & Wesson's instruction manual. Okay, so I wanted to go a little bit beyond that. It had been 7-8 years since I, bought the thing, and I haven't, other than that, I haven't done anything. So, and I'm careful to not get oil and dirt down in the striker channel, and you don't want to get anything in there. It just attracts more dirt. So, I was careful with that, but I figured, hey, it's probably time for a cleaning. So it's very similar in some ways to a Glock. You just press down right here. I'm going to show you how to do that. You press down on that spring and then slide the back plate off, and then everything falls out. It's fairly straightforward to clean the striker and striker channel. I'm not going to do it right now. But where I ended up having, so I said, hey, I'm going to look up some videos on YouTube just to make sure, I haven't done this before. Guys are usually pretty good on this kind of stuff. So there's several videos showing how to deep clean these things. Some guys say they do this every time they shoot. Well, I'm not going to do that. I never have, and it's worked fine. But they say, I clean the striker out every now and then I take the extractor out. Now this is a very simple way of putting an extractor in a pistol. It's just a roll pin, and there's the extractor, and that's the hinge, the pivot, and there's a spring behind it, and it goes all the way through. There it is on this side right here. You can kind of see that. And the way they are saying to do it is you simply take a roll of tape and a 1/16 inch punch and a hammer, and you drive that out, and then of course the extractor pops out. No problem. Clean it, wipe it down, put it back together, and then they were saying, the videos that I saw said you drive it in back from the top, and then you don't have to mar up both sides of the pin, and then you don't risk smacking your punch into any of these mechanisms, or in this channel, potentially hurting something that is more important than out here, cosmetic. And so that's what I did. So basically I drove it out as per the instructions, and it wasn't easy. I mean, they said, oh, it's very tight in there, so you hit it pretty hard. Hit it pretty hard, and it came right out. I mean, it was very tight in there, I would say, but it did come out eventually, and it wasn't any damage. I cleaned it and wiped it down, and everything it was pretty dirty. I mean, it definitely needed a cleaning. Went to put it back together, put the pin in the top, started tapping it down. It started, it seemed like it was going pretty good. Down about halfway in, it just stopped, and it mushroomed out. And I go, what's the deal with that? That doesn't seem, these guys are, said hit it pretty hard, if it doesn't go, hit it harder, So I was doing that, and it just wedged in there. I mean, it was in, and it wouldn't move. The extractor was, in and still probably was functional, but it was, partially in, and it wasn't all the way through there. So, I was like, oh man, I wrecked this thing. I messed this frame up. I shouldn't have been messing with this in the first place. Come to find out, this is something that Smith and Wesson typically does on their service, but I didn't know that. I never heard of that. Typically, extractors are something you can, clean yourself or replace or buy an upgrade, or there are some aftermarket ones for these. But nonetheless, I was like, oh man, I ruined this thing. This isn't good. So gave him a call, and within seconds, they gave him, all I had to do is give him the serial number, my name, address, and within a second, they didn't ask any questions. No questions asked. Your fault. What's the thing? Just send it in. Here's a slip. Email it over, and a packing slip for FedEx. And they literally picked it up at the door. All I had to pay for was to find a box laying around the house to put the pistol inside. The pistol and the box inside of. A shipping box. That's all I had to pay for. They came and picked it up. Doorstep service, FedEx, and 2 weeks later, the pistol arrives. No questions asked, and I explained in the, you write a slip, what's wrong with it. Well, I said it was my fault. I did this, it was, just clumsiness, laziness, not knowing what to do, not knowing the right procedure, getting bad information on YouTube apparently, but it just arrived done with and lo and behold, it was all fixed, and actually it calls out in the paperwork that they replaced the extractor, not just replaced the little pin that was messed up, but they actually replaced the whole extractor, which that's impressive. That's nice. And so from what I understand, even the first generation extractors had some issues, so they went above and beyond. Well, come to find out, they replaced these things, and I didn't know this at the time I was working on this. Let's see if that'll focus in. Put my hand there. Yeah, that's better. Well, I didn't know this, but the first generation M&Ps had a solid pin in there, a solid roll pin, instead of this hollow one that's hardened. And I think they were a softer material, and they were pressed in. And, of course, they were supposed to be pressed in from the bottom. So anybody who's taking these apart, the manual, the armorer's manual, come to find out later on that you do have to drive them in from the bottom, which way the way they came out. They have to go back in the same way. Apparently it's not a taper, but I think there's a different size, slightly different size hole, depending on the frame you get. Some are very tight and some are more loose. But I learned that, of course, the hard way. And of course they changed this to a roll pin, which I'm assuming that this is what I'm seeing guys using now. All the subsequent models after this one use this type of hollow roll pin. So, long story short, this isn't really a gun review. This is more of a review on Smith and Wesson's customer service, and I'm impressed. Actually, that's really good. I'm a big fan. Again, I'm a big fan of Smith and Wesson. I really like them as a company. I think their product line is great, and lifetime warranty. Hey, you can't beat that. I don't think even Glock has that. But literally, they just take care of it, and it comes right back to your doorstep. And I mean, to me, that says they care about their customer. So it's a company that's been around a long time, and they still got it. And, yeah, that's it. So if you're thinking about deciding which brand to go with, There's some, there's a lot of good ones out there, and I'm sure a lot of them have good customer service. But within 2 weeks, I have my pistol back. It's fixed. It's above and beyond, no charge, and it was my fault. So you can't beat that. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's taking care of your customer. So I'm impressed. I'm happy, and glad to have this, my favorite pistol back. So that's the video. I hope you enjoy it.